Bookmeyer.
Here.
Jordan. Here. Oakridge. Here. Sabatino.
Here.
Smith.
Here. Okay, before we get on to the minutes, we'll take a minute or two here. I want to thank, first of all, City Council for expressing the confidence they have in me for making me President of Council. I appreciate that, and I will do the best job that I possibly can. I would also like to thank everybody that's here tonight for coming. Unfortunately, since this is my first council meeting as president, the penalty for coming tonight is having to listen to my little bit of a speech before we start the meeting. Oftentimes, in a city council meeting, there are many different issues that are discussed, some not very important, some are a little more complex, and they sometimes can get to be very emotional on people's beliefs and how they look at the issues that we have to deal with. I would like to make sure, starting at this point from my tenure as president, that the meetings are handled fairly, properly organized, and most of all, respectful. I'm going to attempt to stick as close to Robert's Rules of Order in running the meeting as I can. I do have a copy that one of the residents was kind enough to give me, and I got my own idiot version that I bought that works a little better for me. The one thing I do want to say is I want to stick strictly to the Robert's Rules. I want, if people have the floor, I want them to be able to speak without being interrupted, whether it's by someone else in the audience or whether it's anybody on the administration or the council, and the same thing with the council. So please do not just stand up and start to talk. Please request being recognized by the floor before you speak. That also maybe will give people another couple of seconds to think before they stand up and make a comment. And sometimes when some of the issues that we're discussing get very passionate, sometimes words come out too quickly and maybe they shouldn't have come out. So please, I don't want to have to ever gavel anybody, but if that's need be, then that's what we're going to have to do. So thank you again for coming, and I'm sorry you had to listen to my little speech, but we'll go from there. Kathy, with the minutes?
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Oakridge?
I just wanted to congratulate you. I mean, the council hasn't been unanimous in a while, and it's unanimous that you have our support, so I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you very much again. I appreciate it.
This one's what they got last.
Okay. Tonight's minutes will be from October 7th meeting. Kathy's still in the process of trying to transcribe everything on the last meeting. It was kind of lengthy. So has everyone had copies and looked at the October 7th minutes? Okay. Do we have a motion from anybody to accept the minutes? Mike? Frank?
Bookmeyer.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Oakridge.
Yes.
Sabatino.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Minutes passed. First thing on the agenda is the citizens' hearing. The city ordinances do call for a 5-minute time allowance on speaking. So please be very direct, very concise. I don't want to have to interrupt anybody in the middle, but you will have a little leeway. So when you hear the little ding, the timer will be running. When you hear the little ding, you have 30 seconds to finish up what you're saying. Please stay on point, and please refrain from anything but being respectful to everybody here. Okay, the first person on the list is Milton Sumner. Mr. Sumner? Would you, so people don't know who you are, would you state your name and the issues that you want to speak to or speak on?
Pardon?
Would you state your name and what issues you want to speak on this evening?
My name is Milton Sumner. I've been a citizen of St. Clairsville since 1995. The issue I want to speak of is it's the water issue plus some of the council highest operators.
Sorry about that, go ahead.
That's it.
Oh, sorry.
Glad you had something to say.
I am here tonight to express my strong opposition to the selling of the water system and express my disappointment in some of our council people that they see a need to sell it. And they're not, I don't believe they are listening to the citizens of this town, to this city. I'm further disappointed in the fact that we, as a citizen, I cannot raise a question during the council meeting because of rule number 3 that you can't bring up something that's been discussed before. And we're supposed to take a question to our council person so they can ask it, but these questions arise during the meeting. I don't have this on my paper, but I'll just give you an example. Figures were quoted about those approving of the Aqua Ohio system had increased by 31%. And those that opposed or were disappointed or not thinking it was so good dropped by, I think, 36%. The number was good, I believe it was. Those numbers are useless. They're actually political manipulations because without knowing the true numbers of what the percentage were, they're baseless to me. And I would love to ask what the true percentages were, but I couldn't because we can't ask questions before the meeting. After the meeting, it's too late because of rule number 3. Also, I'm sure that there are other alternatives to selling the water, which the council shot down the legislation to extend and to research alternatives during the last meeting. A solution I believe would be really beneficial. I know some people say there's problems with it, but cities run bond issues all the time. A bond issue to an improvement issue could be placed on the ballot, and I know the water plant needs fixing. I know there's problems with it. And I'd be willing for my property taxes to go up some. But for the water rates, this is going to be substantially more than I believe we can afford. By doing a bond issue, the payment could be spread out over many years, and subsequently the tax increases would not really be that much. I'm also sad that council people and the mayor and administrative officials have neglected this problem for over 30 years. I believe it was political decisions. They were afraid of the vote of the people, and they didn't want to raise rates at the time to fix what needed to be fixed. Another thing that I read in the newspaper is that there's a rate increase of $4.13 for 1,000 gallons coming on during these next few years. That would raise my bill by $41.30. And if you add the $41.30 to the sewage, which you get the same bill on there, that would be $82.60. Further increases that was stated in the paper add up to be 21.15% after 2026. These increases would total 42.30%, and my bill would be another $413. Just to add to that, my grandson, his wife, and my 3 great-grandchildren live with me, and my disabled son lives with me. So we use a lot of water. I can't afford this since I'm on a fixed income. My income is limited, especially with medical bills, a house, medicines I gotta buy, and stuff like this. I also do not believe that Aqua is being honest with us in their assertions that rates would not rise to the 5-year contract. If you check with Ashtabula, Ohio, you'll find that they imposed a 3% system improvement fee in 2013 and a 4.25% system improvement fee in 2015, and in between there, they got a 6.25% rate increase. I also believe that since the state law says utilities can recover costs and receive reasonable profit, that the PUCO would rule in favor of Aqua against the council if they put the right figures to them showing that they need to recover their costs. Furthermore, I believe that Aqua, Ohio will just simply pass the system that they can purchase water from the county. Why can the city not do the same? Thank you.
No, just thank you for your comments. Appreciate you coming and offering your comments.
You need a copy of this? Pardon? You need a copy of this?
I do.
Okay, the next person on the agenda is Catherine Thalman.
I'm Catherine Thalman. You all know who I am by now, I'm sure. Mr. Sumner, that was wonderful. Thank you. If you need my time to finish the facts you wanted to quote, you're more than free to have it. Do you want that
No,
time?
that's fine.
I'm going to be very short and sweet. This has been an ongoing battle for 6 months. We've rallied, we've postulated, we've brought numbers to the table. Nothing has been listened to. Our voices essentially have not been listened to. I'm going to urge you all tomorrow, make your voices loud and clear, exercise your right to vote, and let's make our voices heard again. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Thalman.
That was it.
Next person on the agenda is Mr. William Brooks.
My name is Bill Brooks. I'm going to be short and sweet also. Tonight, City Council will vote on a privatization of our water systems. Regardless of how you council members vote, it's going to create problems for our senior citizens and hardworking families. Tomorrow is election day, and however the citizens vote, I hope and pray that the City Council and the Mayor can get back to working as a unit that will work in the best interests of our citizens. We need our City Council and Mayor to be transparent and to work in our best interests. No matter who the citizens elect as Mayor or City Council at large, we need to support them. We have become a center of attention because of the way we have handled this year's election. I will take my share of the blame. I will. Okay? But we must vow to never let this happen again. We must put our best foot forward and return to being the best community in the Ohio Valley, paradise on the hill. Thank you. You didn't need that visitor with me, man.
I could have left that home, didn't I?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that ends the citizens' hearing for this evening. Move on to the reports. Mr. Zucco, do you have a report this evening?
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, everyone. I have no report this evening.
Thank you. Next is Mayor Pugh. Mr. Pugh, do you have a
I just have a couple
report?
things. I handed out to council the report I received today at noon from the EPA. It is what items have been handled so far and the items that still need addressed. And the only thing I'll read is a paragraph at the end that's never been on any previous reports to us. It says, conclusion. Please be advised the violation cited above will continue until the violations have been properly resolved. Failure to comply with Chapter 6109 of the Ohio Revised Code and of the rules promulgating thereunder may result in administrative or civil penalties up to $25,000 per day for each violation. It is imperative that you return to compliance. If the circumstances delay the resolution of the violations, the City of St. Clairsville is requested to submit written correspondence of the steps that will be taken by date certain to attain compliance. Council can read through it. Most of them have been there before. There's a few new findings in there. And this is how serious the EPA is taking this matter. In fact, I've been asked to call after the vote tonight to the EPA chief to advise him what the vote was with Hawthorne, which I will do. That's all I'm going to say about the water. I do want to
I have
ask.
a question. Am I allowed to ask a question? What are the new violations?
What?
We just got this report, so I was just asking you what the new violations were.
Well, there's one in particular that, and I just got this afternoon myself, so I'm not expecting you to do it. But there is one about the water plant itself. And it has never been in any one before, and it is
8716A.
The overall condition of the surface water treatment plant is poor. The city needs to evaluate the viability of making the needed improvements to the existing surface water treatment plant or decommission the treatment plant and find an alternative source of water. That's never been in any reports before.
So on that one there, B of that, the city was required as part of the response to submit a general plan. Where are we in submitting the general plan?
I can't answer that. I mean, I think we are entering in discussions with the EPA, and they want to know whose plan it's going to be.
Yeah,
That's why I'm the call tonight.
okay, thank you.
I'd like to ask council for a motion and approval for an individual that is to fill Becky Messina's position on the rec board. Her name is Diane Schubert, and she has sent a letter to me expressing her interest in the position. Mrs. Messina accepted a new position, and her time won't permit her to be part of the rec board, so that's why there's an opening there. So if you would, give me a motion to approve it, I'd appreciate it.
Linda made a motion.
Bookmeyer,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Oak Ridge,
Yes.
Sabatino.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
The only other thing I have is that I received today from AMP Ohio a request for any student that may want to consider applying for an AMP scholarship. And if anyone here knows of anybody, especially that's going into the electric field, this information will be available in Kathy Kaluga's office. Please contact her and she can provide this to you. The following date is December 13th for this. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Mayor.
President, I just had a question. There was no report. I expected perhaps maybe something on, we had a bunch of rain and I know there were issues. And I just wondered if there was any report about that, like what residents really got hit hard, like in Bellevue?
I'm not prepared for a report tonight, so we'd like to discuss it with you if you want.
I'll be happy to give it. I spoke to him and offered to go down there. And yes, the same houses did have flooding, did have sewage in the basement. We got a lot of rain. over 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches, and get the final board, but yes, same problems were down there and people had to deal with it.
Okay. So it was more than just the one house? More than just
Yeah, it was 3.
the
I
whole
think.
area, okay.
Okay, next report would be Police Chief Jeff Henry. Jeff, you have a report?
I don't have anything this evening, but I would like to, tell you that we made it through our trick or treat night. We had all the officers working, all 5 cars out on the road, and we only had one minor accident, so everything was pretty good there.
Okay, thank you. Everybody have any questions for Police Chief Henry? Okay, we'll move on to Finance Director. Cindy, do you have a report?
I have nothing.
We'll move to Mr. Murphy for the Planning and Zoning report.
All right, I have actually a few items for council. First of all, there is a Board of Zoning Appeals hearing scheduled for tomorrow at 6 p.m. here at Council Chambers. Lancione, Lloyd, and Hoffman, Buffalo Wild Wings, want to establish offices at 104 South Sugar Street. All are welcome to attend. That's regarded as a conditional use according to our ordinances, so again, anyone can stop into that hearing, or if you have questions, you always feel free to ask. The second item, as you're all aware, and I've kind of brought to your attention, the U.S. Census count will be held in April 2020. The local census representative recommends establishing what they call a complete count committee to encourage residents to respond to the census, be counted. That helps out our community. It is recommended that council members be part of that committee. Again, it's still early, so I'll keep you informed on what some of your responsibilities might be. One thing I do is I talk to various groups in the area, Rotaries, and just emphasize to them again why the census is important, and give information to anyone stopping into the city building. I would encourage the council members, when we get to that point, we'll have pamphlets that we can actually print out from the census website. And not that you have to knock on everyone's door, but if there's certain people in your neighborhood would be interested in it, give them the information, and by voice you can knock on doors and hand out some information. But again, it's still early. We'll kind of worry about that more as time goes by. And the third item, everyone knows that stormwater management is becoming more and more important. See that example down on Bellevue. The Ohio EPA would like the city to partner with the Belmont County Soil and Water Conservation District regarding education of the public. I met with the Belmont County Soil and Water Conservation District and their board regarding partnering at their last board meeting, which I think was October 12th, and they were all for that. So they submitted a letter to us saying, hey, we want to partner with you, and we also have a resolution for council. It doesn't have to be an emergency, just for a first reading tonight. But again, any questions you might have, feel free to ask. That'll have 3 readings. So, any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Tom. We'll move on to the council committees. First committee would be Mr. Smith for the Finance Committee.
Thanks, Jim. I handed out some papers to council just to kind of show a little bit of math here on this whole water issue. The first page shows an annual bill at 2.5% of median household income of $1,644. Divide that by 12, see it's 137. And I contacted Anita. If you go back to page 4, she has $184 for that. And if you go back to the last page, the insert that was in our water bills has $265. So that's kind of muddying up the water. I don't know what to believe on that. So you can just set that aside and look at it later for yourself. The second page is by itself, has a little bit of facts on it. If you go down to the middle It says estimated annual revenue, 2.4 million. Total cost based on July 2019 average, 2,324,000. We should have an excess revenue of 75,000 for the year. If we go to the last page, which is the most important one, this is the amount. If you look in the left-hand column, if we can borrow $15 million, our monthly payment would be $48,000. We would need 49,160 is the third column, which means we'd have to only put on $20 per month per customer to pay for the $15 million loan. So I just wanted to point that out to council. As a city, we probably could do this ourselves if we wanted to. It's something to think about before you vote.
Yeah, that's like 15 minutes.
Yeah. If you go up to 25 million, it'd be $33 per customer per month. We borrowed $25 million. That's all I have.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, we'll move on to utilities. Mr. Sabatino?
Utility, we met this evening prior to the council. Donnie, anything from?
I have nothing to say.
It's very unfortunate about what's going on in Bellevue with their rains, what heavy rains does to Bellevue. On the positive side, I understand the reservoir from the heavy rains has pretty much filled up again. So, but we need to address Bellevue, so residents down here. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sabatino. Okay, the next committee would be the police committee. Mr. Bookmeyer, you have a report? No report, thank you. The street side or street north side, was mine. There's no report on that. We're pretty much just at a lull on any repairs on the streets at this time. Street south side, no report. Safety committee, the meeting was held last Thursday. It was pretty well received by, I think, all the employees. And the next safety meeting will be the last Thursday of this month at the city garage on Reservoir Road. It'll be 9 o'clock in the morning. If any of the council people would like to attend, the meetings are very worthwhile. Next, building and grounds. Mr. Basil is not here. He informed me that he's sick this evening on the way to the E-room, so there'll be no report on building and grounds. Planning Commission. Mr. Smith, do you have a report on planning?
No report.
Okay. Go on to the fire district. Mr. Sabatino.
Yeah, at our last meeting here in October, like every department in this entire valley, there's a great awareness of the status of I-70 and 470 with the road construction and transporting stations. So far, the chief reports we've been able to work around it, but we all read the newspapers and watch the news. It seems like every day, every hour almost, there's a wreck on either one that backs traffic up. So, it's just a day by day for the next 2 or 3 years there, unfortunately. Our next fire board meeting will be Wednesday, November 20th, 3 o'clock at the main station. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Sabatino. Recreation report, Ms. Jordan.
Yes, the fantastic costume judging went very well, and the board would like to thank all of the people who donated all of the candy. All the candy was donated. They didn't have to pay for any of it. So they're thankful for all that graciousness. Several different people. There were private citizens, there were businesses, there were organizations. And Park District, no report.
Okay. One thing I'd like to say about the residents and the people that donated candy, Robert, if you would make something in the newspaper, a little entry, thanking the residents and the people who were kind enough to donate candy for the costume judging at the rec center. We definitely want to let them people know that we appreciate that, and I'm sure the kids do. Park District, okay, that concludes the council committees. Next is the ordinance and resolutions. Mr. Miser.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 4 pieces of legislation to consider this evening. The first ordinance that we have is 2019-25. This is the ordinance to approve the contract between the City of St. Clairsville and Aqua Ohio Water for the privatization of our water system. Now, this is up for its 3rd reading and can be voted on tonight. Before we do that, though, one thing that I would like to mention, and I think it's too bad that Perry Basil is not here this evening. 2 meetings ago, when the attorney that assisted council in negotiating these contracts, when she was here, the council had questions for her. Perry raised a very good question. His question was related to the interim between the time we pass this contract and the time that it actually goes into effect. If we were to pass the contract tonight, the Ohio Public Works Commission must first approve this contract. That may be 6 months, it may be 8 months down the road. Perry's question was, in that period of time, if the City of St. Clairsville has to make expenditures to improve our system, who's going to pay for that? Are we going to pay for that, or is Aqua going to pay for that? Well, the answer is Aqua will pick up the bill after the closing, after they take possession and after the contract is closed. Kim, the attorney, thought that that was a very good question that Perry posed. She took that to heart. She also took it back to Aqua. She sat down with Aqua again and renegotiated an amendment that will be attached to the contract that we're going to be considering tonight. And here's the amendment. In the event that the Ohio EPA issues some type of order against the City of St. Clairsville requiring us to make an emergency expenditure of up to or more than $250,000 before the closing takes place, and if that expenditure wasn't already budgeted and planned for by the city, Aqua has agreed to sit down with the city and negotiate the sharing of whatever that expense is. In a sense, what they're doing, they are willing to renegotiate an increase to our purchase price in the event, in the interim period, we're going to have to make some capital improvements to the system. They're willing to incur some of the expense. So I wanted to bring that to the council's attention and to the community's attention. Are there any questions of that amendment for me? If I can, I would entertain those if the council has any other questions. I think that was a pretty good deal. I'm very seldom do you sit down with a person that you've already negotiated a contract with and ask them to increase the purchase price, and they're willing to do that. It's exactly what Aqua is doing here. They're willing to increase the amount of the contract that they previously negotiated. Moving on to our next piece of legislation is ordinance number 2019-26. This is the ordinance to approve the contract between the City of St. Clairsville and Aqua Ohio for our wastewater project. Both of these are up for their 3rd reading tonight and can be voted on tonight. The next piece of legislation that we have is a piece of legislation that's up for its 1st reading tonight. This is the legislation seeking a partnership between the City of St. Clairsville and the Belmont County Soil and Water Conservation District. This is the legislation and the program and the plan that Tom Murphy explained to council earlier this evening. It is up for its first reading tonight. It does not have emergency language in it, and Tom is not asking that we suspend the rules and pass it tonight. It will be read for its first time tonight. The next piece of legislation that you have in front of you that we will consider is resolution number 2019-29. This is a resolution authorizing the City of St. Clairsville to participate in the ODOT contract number 1820. And this is for the purchase of road salt for this upcoming winter. It does have emergency language in it, and I think you're asking that we pass on an emergency basis tonight?
If possible, that would help. If not, we can go through readings, but if possible, yes.
Is there a necessity for it to be, I mean, is there a time frame that it has to be?
There's no compliance on a time frame. It's just, Don can tell you, the sooner we get it, the better. We have salt in stock, but it would be nice to be able to have additional salt. We don't know what kind of winter we're going to get, so. That's up to council.
Okay. I don't have any other further legislation. Another thing you will see on the agenda tonight under new business is to fill the vacancy we have in a council seat for the 4th Ward. It's up to council how we want to do this. Council knows we put out advertisements for that position. We've received 4 letters of interest, and council, it's going to be up to council tonight to decide if and how they want to interview these people and if and how they want to fill that vacancy. If council so wishes, we could go into executive session to discuss that, or we can discuss that in open council this evening. I don't have any other requests that we go into executive session tonight. And Mr. President, that's all that I have this evening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Miser. Anybody have any other questions for Mr. Miser? Okay.
So, this isn't a question for Mr. Miser, but I have a statement I'd like to read before we vote on ordinances 25 and 26.
Do we need to read that before we?
I mean, is that a question?
No, I have a statement I'd like to make before we do this, the voting.
Doesn't make any difference to me.
Yeah.
You have a statement regarding this position, or what?
No, before we do the voting for the resolutions, it's a 3rd reading. I just would like to make a statement before we do the reading. That's all.
I mean, we can discuss and debate these resolutions before we vote, if you so wish.
Yeah, I just have a statement I want to read. I just kind of let you know.
Is it proper to read it before the reading or
Yeah,
afterwards
yeah.
before voting?
It probably would be proper once we address the voting, which is coming up probably right now.
And that's why I brought this up. I figured you would, yeah.
Okay, so you have a statement before the vote takes place?
Yes.
Okay. So we would be to the 3rd reading of ordinance 29, or 2019-25.
Ordinance number 2019-25, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an asset purchase agreement between the City of St. Clair, Ohio as seller and Aqua Ohio Water Incorporated as purchaser, and authorizing the assignment of the city's rights and obligations thereunder and declaring an emergency.
Do you have a statement you want to make?
I do. Okay. So I've been concerned about this process ever since 6 members of council voted to approve ordinance number 2019-08, giving the city administration the ability to explore the option of privatizing our water and sewer system. All other options seem to have gone off the table. We did not seriously look at other modes, did not make the necessary improvements to the system. We did not conduct a cost analysis of improvements that needed to be made or allow for a financial feasibility study for the amount of monies that we need to borrow. This bid was set in place in March. We would have had ample time for both studies and continue to pursue other options. I'm concerned that we were asked to begin reading of these ordinances to sell our systems before we had the opportunity to discuss the contract with the attorneys that negotiated. There was absolutely no reason that we had to begin a series of 3 readings on October 7th. We could have waited until October 21st when the attorneys attended our session to address our questions. We're concerned that we're asked to vote on this ordinance or these ordinances the day before an election that could result in a new chief executive and 2 new council members. In fact, I believe to have the vote tonight, a day before the election, is irresponsible and unwise. I'm concerned that we're asked to vote on this without a full council. A council member was out of town last week, so we were unable to interview the candidates to fill Mr. Bayless's vacant position. And it was right to wait for a full council since the remaining council is all interested in this. But waiting for a full council to have those interviews was the right thing to do. Voting to privatize without a full council is not. I'm concerned that the 3 members that have voiced their legitimate concerns about attempting to get additional information and have asked questions for the past 6 months have been characterized as wanting to triple water rates, as kicking the can down the road, and have had defaming letters mailed and distributed about them from an anonymous account. The right to question and challenge authority should be applauded, not condemned. Questions should be welcomed, not characterized as nefarious. Personal attacks from anybody are not helpful. They're unkind and they're hurtful. Calling someone a liar, questioning somebody's military record, threatening to expose past behaviors in an attempt to discredit, or embarrassing someone, we're all better than this. I don't necessarily want to vote no on the 2 resolutions tonight. Selling our water to Aqua could end up being in the best interest of the city. But in the absence of the information of what it would actually cost to fix our system, and therefore not knowing what our water and sewer rates would be, I still believe there's missing information, and we're rushing this vote. We've been presented with conflicting information for the past 6 months. We were originally told we couldn't borrow money. Then we were told we could borrow money, but our rates would have to be 2.5% of the median household income. We were told that our rates would have to double. Then we were told that our rates would have to triple. Now we're given other figures that say the rates maybe only go $20, $25, $30 a month. We were told the EPA fixes were in the tens of millions of dollars. We haven't been given the opportunity to rectify these inconsistencies. It remains inexplicable to me why this rush to vote has to happen. Craig Butler from the Ohio EPA confirmed to me that our rates are not at 2.5 of the median household income. He also confirmed to me that they don't have to be. Our rates would have to be increased. I think everybody understands that our rates will have to be increased in order to satisfy an EPA loan to any amount that we would take. We're going to have to show that we can pay that money back. Water and sewer rates would increase. But to what amount? I don't think we know what we're going to borrow. We don't know what we're going to borrow. Is it $15 million? Is it $20 million? Tens of millions of dollars? We don't have that figure, and until we have that figure, then how do we have to vote? This decision is going to have lasting consequences. I have only spoken to one person in the last 6 months that has said to sell the system. His rationale was that it was in his best short-term interest. His rates won't be impacted for the next few years. As a council person, I don't have the luxury of that type of thinking. My responsibility as a councilwoman is to think of present and future. I believe that I have done my due diligence in raising the concerns that I've had, and I can only trust that each of my council colleagues have done this as well.
Does anyone want to make a motion on ordinance 2019-25?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Mr. Savastino, is there a second? Ms. Jordan?
Bookmeyer?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Oak Ridge?
Absolutely not.
Sabatino?
Yes.
Smith?
No.
Okay, Mr. Miser, we have a 3-2 vote.
Well, that puts us in an awkward situation. And Beth, the drafters of our charter of the city of St. Clairsville also thought that it wouldn't be fair, since we don't have a full complement of council members tonight. The drafters pursuant to our charter didn't think that it would be fair to have a mere 3 members be a majority over 8 council members, and they didn't think it would be fair to have 2 council members be able to oppose an ordinance. Our charter provides that before an ordinance can be passed, it must be passed by 4 votes. Before it can be rejected, it must be rejected by 4 votes. We don't have 4 votes either way. We don't have 4 votes in favor. We don't have 4 votes against. So, the only thing we're going to be able to do is to table this matter until the next council.
Mr. Miser still speaking.
And I don't mean to make that as a political statement. I mean to make that is what our charter provides. We will continue to vote on these 2 particular ordinances until we have a resolution, one way or the other, either 4 votes in favor or 4 votes against. The vote will be put off to the next meeting, whether it's a regular meeting or a special meeting called for this purpose. It obviously will be after the election, and hopefully it will be after we've had an opportunity to fill the vacant position that we have. So that's what we're going to have to do, at least on the first ordinance that we pass. We also have another ordinance that perhaps we should make this official and take a vote on it. I suppose it could pass.
Okay, that would be the 3rd reading on ordinance 2019-26, which would be the sale of the wastewater system. Anyone have a motion on that?
Is that a read this first?
Oh,
Ordinance number 2019-26, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an asset purchase agreement between the city of St. Clairsville, Ohio as seller and Aqua Ohio Wastewater Incorporated as purchaser, and authorizing the assignment of the city's rights and obligations therefore under and declaring an emergency.
Does anyone have a make a motion on ordinance 2019-26?
That's 26 with emergency.
Oh, that's the 3rd reading.
That's the 3rd reading on the,
I'll make a motion for approval.
Do we have a second? Mr. Bookmeyer, second.
Bookmark?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Oakbridge?
No.
Sabatino?
Yes.
Smith?
No.
We have the same situation on this.
So these will have to be voted on at the next meeting. Okay, we'll move on to the first reading of 2019-28.
Resolution number 2019-28, resolution approving a partnership between the city of St. Clairsville, Ohio, and the Belmont County Soil and Water Conservation District.
Okay, that will be the first reading. No emergency or language in that. So the second reading will be at the next meeting. And we also have the first reading on ordinance 2019-29. That does contain emergency language.
Resolution number 2019-29, a resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT contract 018-20 for road salt and declaring an emergency.
I move that the rules requiring ordinances and resolutions to be read on 3 separate readings be suspended and declaring an emergency.
Do we have a second on the emergency?
Brookmeyer,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Oak Ridge. Yes. Sabatino.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Resolution number 2019-29, a resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT contract 018-20 for road salt and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, can I interrupt you for a minute? This is my fault. The charter provides that in order to suspend the rules to pass legislation on an emergency measure, must be done by you must have a vote of 3/4 of the council members. 3/4 of the council members are going to take 6 votes. We do not have 6 votes this evening, so we will not be able to suspend the rules for this particular ordinance.
So we could do the first reading.
It'll be its first reading, yeah.
It could be suspended at the next reading
At
if
the
we have
next
6
meeting.
votes.
Right.
Okay, that's nothing else. You have any correspondence? Well, the other new business we have is we were getting,
Well, just the fourth word, I mean, I think that.
right, yeah, we will be getting together, Perry's not here, I want to get a hold of Perry and I'll get a date, several days here in the coming week where we will be able to get together and consider filling the 4th ward vacancy and making some dates for interviews with the people who are interested. So if you can give me a couple of days that would be convenient for everybody this week, and I'll get a hold of Perry and we'll set up a date to.
What is we're 14 days in, we have 30 days. What is that date, do you know?
The 20th. Okay. Jim Velas's seat was vacated on the 9th, at our last council meeting, okay, the 19th. Council has 30 days to fill that vacancy. Council can do it any way they wish. Council at the last meeting decided that what they would like to do is to publish for anybody who is interested in filling that vacancy. They received 4 letters of interest from citizens to fill that vacancy. Now, to finish answering your question, council can do it any way they wish. If you want to set up a time to interview these people, you can do that. Don't forget, council members can't, any more than 3 members meet at once, or you violated the sunshine rules. So if you want to call a special meeting, or if you want to go into executive session to make that interview, you can do that. Or if you wanted to set up a committee of 3 members to make that interview, you can do that.
I think the request was before that it be in front of all council members, so I think what we will probably do is set up a special meeting and go into executive session to discuss it. That way, everybody from council will have.
Or we could go into executive session tonight. I mean, we can't
We don't have
interview.
Perry here this night, so.
We want to interview the people, so we would need them.
Sure, we want Perry to be here too, so we will get with everybody when it would be convenient to set up a meeting and go into executive session to discuss it and put together the questions we're going to ask. And that'll give us time also till the 20th to schedule interviews and talk to the people in that 30-day time frame.
So we want to be ready to go next council meeting.
If possible.
Well, we are out of time after the next council.
Well, okay, I didn't finish answering the question. 30 days from the 19th would make it we are scheduled to have another council meeting on the 18th. I think the 18th, if I counted my days correctly, the 18th is exactly the 30th day. And so if you wanted to vote on the 18th, you could do that.
Yeah, Richard, our last meeting was the 21st of October. You keep saying the 19th.
So it would be 20, well, okay, then the 18th would still be in time for council to vote on a replacement. After that, after that, it's up to the mayor to appoint somebody to fill that position.
So Jim, I would really like to have, Mr. President. Mr. President.
So order, please.
If we could set up interviews this week, I think that would be the most prudent thing to do.
See if we can get everybody together and see what we can do.
You can't this week? You have no days this week? No.
I will get a hold of Perry also and find out when it's convenient for him, and you can let me know as soon as you have some days available. We've still got plenty of time to the 20th.
Okay.
Okay, that's all under new business. Next meeting will be on Monday, November 18th. Do I have a motion for adjournment? Adjourned.